Hello, everybody. You're here with me at the Clay of Fundy. Nice shirt. Connie, that's me. And I'm going to teach you how to make fossils. Well, pretend fossils. And we're learning about rocks and how sedimentary rock was laid down in like mud. And once in a while, uh, things would walk on the mud, and those imprints were left, and we happen to know that because they became rocks, fossil rocks. So, oh, and here's a friend. You'll see Gritty. That's my dog. She'll be in and out. She's a friend. Do you have a friend that you can talk to once in a while? She greets me at the door every day. What a good pup. So, whatever you happen to have around that you can use to make your imprints, that's what we're thinking about. Whatever happens to be around. I'm in a pottery. This is my studio. I happen to have a lot of clay. So I'm going to be using clay today, but maybe you have, I don't know, you might have Play-Doh. I happen to have Play-Doh, right? Or even go out and find clay outside, or even just mud. Mud will work. You find some dirt, add a little water. Everybody might have access to mud. So whatever you have access to, that's what we're looking for. Something to play with. Before we get started, I wanted to show you some examples. So, I happen to have already made some models here, some imprints. And here's one. Here's a shell. There's a little shell. You know, you would need your clay and stuff or mud, whatever you have, and then you'd want to figure out what is it I want to print. So here's a little shell, and this happens to be a print I made, and that's how I made it, and now it's hard. So I have a little print there. Here's a thing of cedar. So you can see that I took a leaf, a little bit bigger leaf than this one, and I put it into some clay, and this became a print. A little, you might even call this a printing plate, because we could use this to make things. Here's another printing plate that's made from a fern, and look at what we ended up with. This is actual clay that's been fired, and we had pressed it into this printing plate and ended up with this. And you can see, you can even, I found these, here's one that was machine made imprint, and I used that to make this little guy, just some cute little ornament kind of thing. I pressed the clay into here, had a hole, and now I have something I could paint. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with clay, and like I said, you might have Play-Doh, you might have modeling clay, I'm not sure. So let's start. You get your clay, and it's just a lump, and maybe you want to take your fingers underneath and your thumb on top, and you just slowly work from the middle out. And I'm making it kind of into a pancake. And the nice thing about clay is if you make a mistake, it's okay, because you can like use a little water to wet it down, ball it up again, and make it again. So let's assume I know what I'm doing. I have been doing this for decades. So, okay, I've got my little pancake. I don't want it too thin because when I make my print, there. Now look, this is a dry table, so it won't stick. Sometimes clay is too sticky. You got to be careful. You don't want to pound on it. You just gently tap, flip and tap. Okay, I think I've got a fairly nice surface here. And I'm going to make some prints. This is Rocky. Arg. Okay, so let's see what happens if I press that foot down first, the right foot, and then the left foot. And he seems to be walking. I think I'll put his right foot there, and another left foot, and maybe his tail dragged. There. I don't know. My goodness, let's see up close. And then you want to look and see, how's your print? Did it come out pretty good? That's fun. Sometimes I put a hole into it. I just take a tool, whatever happens to be around, and if you have like a little pokey stick of some kind, very gently poke your stick in there, pull it out, and you've got a little hole so that you can hang it. Whoop. Can you see that? I made a little hole. Kind of. I might have to go from the back and poke it again. Okay, so there's one. Let's see, what else can I do? All right, I've got my clay again. Should I try the clay or the Play-Doh? You know what? I'll try the Play-Doh now. So Play-Doh's the same thing. You might want to keep it moist. You can moisten your hands and wet it so it doesn't crack. And again, just press from the middle, work your way out, and don't make your pancake too small. If it starts to crack, wet your hand, smooth it off. That's a little trick I've taught all my students. I teach at Lubeck and Pembroke Elementary. Okay, again, you don't want a wet surface or a shiny surface, whatever surface. Maybe you need to make sure it doesn't stick. Don't press down too hard. Let's see, what else can I do? I haven't done a leaf yet. Actually, let's try the shell. Okay, so the shells, there's lots of shell fossils out there. Isn't that fun? I don't know if you can see that. It's a shell fossil. Let's see, I've got my clay back. Squish it out a little bit. What next? You know, I've got 4 different leaves here. I kind of like, maybe I'll like this one, I don't know. And smooth that off a little. Don't let it stick, smooth it off. Now let's see, if I push this down, I don't want to push too hard and make a bunch of fingerprints. I want to make sure I'm just pressing in the leaves. Da 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 da, and pull it out. And isn't that cool? And if you let that harden, that's kind of cool. Let's see, what else? Well, as part of my show and tell today, I brought this leaf. This is a sage leaf. It's from a sage plant that I grew. And this spring, during COVID, my daughter came home from college and made a lot of clay things. She made this, by the way, and she also made this teapot. So check it out. Those are all sage leaves pressed into the clay, and then when we fired it, we put a little black in there. You could do that with, like, I don't know, maybe ink. or a little thin, thin, thin paint in your little impression. Wait till it's very, very dry. By the way, her name, I don't know if you can read that. If it's backwards, it says sage. And those are sage leaves. Ha! And then I made this teapot. And those impressions are cedar. This is my teapot. We made teapots together, my daughter and I. And there's the sage, right? I mean, cedar. Well, guess what? My son's name is Cedar. So we have a cedar and sage teapot. Isn't that fun? I'm going to curl my head around and tell you I really had fun with you. And I'm so glad that I got to make this movie. Have fun. Create art at home. Bye.